Hi everybody, and welcome to Josiah is Right. So, I didn't really have I had things planned for this week, but like the last couple videos were outtakes, but then Stan Lee died, so I had to comment on some level. I don't have anything really profound to say or anything deep to say or anything well planned, unfortunately. So I've thought about it in the last few days, so I might have a few things to say based on just my thoughts. On Monday was when he passed, and my mom was actually here, and so it's kind of one of those things you'll always remember because we were on our way to the airport, my wife, myself, and Penny, to drop my mom off to LA, so that's about an hour with good traffic, you know, in carpool from here. It shouldn't be that long, but, you know, traffic, even in the carpool. It took us about an hour to get there, longer because of traffic through the airport, but that was when we found out. We got texted from a friend that he had passed, and there's part you're not sad in the sense because he's 95 years old. He's lived a long life, but you'll miss someone who inspired you so much. Now, I know there's controversy, I don't even like to use that word, about credit attribution. And so that is certainly something we can't ignore. Did Stan properly credit the artist throughout his life? He did at times, but he would always sort of give it that little bit of a, I see it as. But maybe because he really did see it as, that's what he did. At least when I was old enough to sort of have my own perspective on it, that it was a co-creation. Spider-Man, X-Men, everything he created, the Hulk, Iron Man, all these characters were co-creations. Now Jack Kirby, hugely significant. Stan without Jack Kirby wouldn't be Stan. Stan wasn't Stan before Jack Kirby. Before they sort of made the Marvel Universe and made modern comics as we know them, they were making monster comics, which were essentially the same as Marvel comics later would become. Look at the early Marvel comics. They were really just monster comics, sort of in a new window dressing. Very much they'd have this big, sad monster that was just trying to live its life and everything went wrong. That was the story, and that's what became Marvel. That sort of heaviness, that reality was actually set forth in the monster comics that they were doing at that time. But when they made those comics, when they made Fantastic Four, when Ditko and Lee made Spider-Man, everything changed forever. And the one man at the center of all that, regardless, is Stan Lee. The great Stan Lee. I did meet him once personally at a photo op thing. He said, "Hi, I'm Stan." I said, "I'm Josiah." I don't know. I was nervous to meet him. We never got our photo. We paid $40 for it. We never got it. Judy and I were on each side of him in a chair. But at least I can say I met him. But they gave me a hard time about the photo, and they wouldn't give me a refund. So, anyway, I don't know advice on that. That's just a little bit. But anyway, Stan Lee will be missed. All the credit attribution stuff aside, he is, at the very least, a co-creator. And I'll say this. The reason Stan got credit is he's a bit of a huckster. Yeah, she agrees. He would sell it like nobody else. His words were the words in the characters' mouths. And that's kind of like what later in life maybe Kirby didn't like, because that got Stan the credit. But Stan got the credit because Stan was the out front person. Because Stan wanted to be. That's who Stan was. That was his personality to the day he died, you know? I mean, there was also some unfortunate stuff about potential elder abuse at the end, things like that. These are all things that matter, that shouldn't tarnish his legacy, but should be discussed. But he was still just always promoting, you know, whether it be... When I was at a convention a few years ago, he was there doing a brief signing and wave by at his daughter's booth. So there's always something the guy had to promote, and that's who he was. He just never stopped working. That's one thing he and Kirby definitely had in common. Those guys never stopped working till the day they died. Anyway, I want to say to Stan Lee, thank you to his family, who I kind of briefly interacted with. I won't even say, but you wouldn't remember me anyway. But I was your neighbor at a convention once, and I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry for all of our loss as fans of Marvel and Stan as a person. Because Stan got all that credit, like I said, because he was the one out front. He was the one getting those interviews when Jack Kirby was the troll in the office. And that's kind of how he was characterized, which was totally unfair, because Jack has a whole bunch of personality, too. Also, I want to recommend quickly read Mark Evaniers' book on Jack Kirby. You get a little bit of insight in Stan Lee and Kirby King of Comic Books, and Sean Howe, I believe that's the name, Marvel Comics: The Untold Story. Those are the two best books. There's other really good books, Kirby bios, Stan Lee's own autobiography rather, is worth reading. So make sure you check those out. But those first two I mentioned, definitely check out. I think you'll get a full picture of both men, the flaws and all. And all that said, thank you, Stan. As a kid, because he was out front, because he was the one who defined Marvel in terms of the voice, in terms of the image of it, and like the public image that made Marvel Marvel, as much as Jack Kirby's art, maybe even slightly more so. That's a tough argument. Don't quote me on that. But Stan, today, you're the #1 guy. And tomorrow we'll talk about Jack Kirby. Day after that we'll talk about Steve Ditko, and on and on and on. But today, it's for you, Stan. Thank you so much. I wouldn't be a creator if I was without Stan. Growing up, it was Stan's soapbox, all those things. Even through the 90s, Stan was Marvel. Stan was comics. Whether that's completely fair or not, Stan was comics, and Stan will always be comics for people of certain generations. This is getting more emotional than I thought it would be. I guess I miss my mom and my family in Pennsylvania when these things happen. It's a weird thing because that's where it all came from. I'm working on my novel, which is set at that time right now. It's 1996, and it's 14-year-old me is basically the protagonist. And now I'm here sitting recording this video with my daughter talking about Stan Lee's passing. It's some heavy stuff. But this is why we go on. So I'm going to say, with Penny just hamming it up, thank you guys for watching. She wants to push the red button to end this video. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And I thank you, Stan Lee, to no end for your creativity and your inspiration. And I was happy to once be called Stan Lee without the schmaltz. I wish I had some more schmaltz in me, Stan. Bye.